now, John Fitzsimmons.
My first tour over in Nairobi was about maybe 2/3 travel. You would generally stay a week at least, maybe 2 weeks. Travel in Africa at that time was not easy. You didn't have daily flights or multiple daily flights to a lot of these posts, so you had to take advantage. Okay, you come in on a Tuesday. There's a Tuesday and Sunday flight. Okay, so you have to fit your work into that time. Otherwise, you're sitting around waiting for the next flight. Sometimes arranging equipment to send in the pouch. Sometimes you had to wait for that. Travel was not all that easy. I had a project to do which involved installing an alarm system there. It was when they were just transitioning from being a U.S. protectorate, a U.S. territory, to their own country. So we planned a trip there. It was, again, a non-pro pouch. It always seems to be with the pouches, right? Palau is a beautiful place. It's spectacular. And the embassy was one person. We get to Palau, and I, again, with my pouch bag, was the first one ever in the history of the country to bring a pouch bag in, because they were newly independent. The customs guy was arguing. He said he's got to look in. I said, no, you can't. It's a pouch. And so he calls the minister of customs or whatever. And the guy comes in. He's got shorts and flip flops on, and he's like, no, we're not going to let that in. I'm like, show him the courier letter, diplomatics. I don't know what that means, because they'd been used to FBI and Department of Interior and everybody, all these federal law enforcement officers coming and going. My last thing was my credentials with the DS badge on. He says, why didn't you say so? Please go right ahead. We get to the embassy, and I proceed to do some other work and install this alarm system. And this particular alarm system had a clock motor, and it recorded the events on a piece of on a circular paper, so that it would go. It took like a week, to go in a circle, and it would draw, alarm, activations on this, because there's no 24-hour presence there. Got it installed, seemed to be working. We went back, and that night there was a big lobster fest at the hotel. We had lobster, everything was swell. So we get to the embassy the next day, and the thing had stopped. I'm like, oh man, there's no getting another one. So I'm investigating it and looking at the clock mechanism, and it was plastic. And so instead of having a battery in it, someone had soldered wires to it to supply power all the time, so you didn't have a battery go dead. A little blob of solder had gotten on one of the gears and melted one of the teeth, so when it got to that point, it just stopped. So I was looking around, those Chicago Lighthouse for the blind clocks, the ones that you see all over the place, they had a bunch of those. I pulled out, looked at the mechanism, man, this looks really similar. I pull it apart, and sure as hell it was. It was almost an identical mechanism. So I got my soldering iron, soldered the power wires on, taking care not to get a blob of solder on the gear this time, and it worked fine. And my boss was so impressed. I got a Superior Honor Award for that, and it was a professionally satisfying trip. You overcame almost an impossible challenge, and it was a beautiful place, and you overcame the intransigence of the local officialdom.
This has been a DSS Oral History with John Fitzsimmons.